it going? 1, 2. No. All right. Welcome to the Tuesday, June 4th, 2013 meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. And tonight our invocation will be led by Mr. Doug Irvin, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand with me?
Would you please join me in prayer? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to offer our praises and to worship you. You are a creating God, a only God. There is no one other than you. You created everything in this universe out of nothing. You took a handful of dirt, molded into a being, breathed into the nostrils, and made mankind. You gave him a wonderful place to live, a Garden of Eden, with nothing to do but to take care of the things in the garden. And you gave him choices, and the choice that he made was bad. His choice was to sin against you, and because of his sin, you banished him from the most beautiful place that ever was made, to work outside and to sweat by the sweat of his brow to make a living. And today, Father, even in the 21st century, we still sin against you. We sin in ways that we don't even think about. We have taken you out of our schools. We have the ability to kill unborn children. We want to take you off of our money. We want to move your commandments from our public places. But yet, you still love us, and you desire a relationship with us. Oh God, you are so great. You are such a loving God. Tonight we come and ask your blessings on this meeting that we're gathered here for tonight. We pray that you be with the directors as they make decisions that will affect the rest of this community, the city of Hot Springs. We ask that you give them the wisdom of Solomon as they make these decisions. Help them to think about what they're doing and to give them that wisdom. And just as importantly, Father, we ask that you give them the patience of Job, the patience to be kind to their fellow directors, to say kind words and to listen attentively to what others say, and not to make all the decisions based on what they want, but what's right for the city of Hot Springs. We ask that your blessings on this meeting now, and that as we leave this place and go out into our separate ways, that we remember that you are a loving God and you want to have a relationship with us. These things we ask in your precious Son's name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
McCabe.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
Carney.
Here. Okay, thank you. The first item of business is to consider the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including items, if any, to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, motion adopted. The next item of business is to consider the approval of the minutes of the board meeting held on May 21st, 2013. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is adopted. Thank you. In an effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items on tonight's agenda, I ask that our citizens and our guests to adhere to a 3-minute limit on your comments. And for your convenience, we will display the clock timer in the monitors above. And out of respect for all of us, we ask that you honor this request. While members of the board may have questions of the speakers, I ask that any general comments be reserved for the board discussion after all the speakers have been heard. And we also ask that all your cell phones be silenced during the meeting. Please refrain from any disruptions of the meetings. Don't boo us or laugh at us. Just be quiet while you're sitting there. Thank you. And we also ask that if you have to leave before we're finished, that you do so quietly without talking to your neighbors. And we want to thank all of you for being here. We appreciate that you are here and you have concern for our city, and we thank you for your presence, and we want to welcome you. At this time, we don't have any guests written down to be recognized. Do any of you have guests that we didn't get on the agenda? Okay, so all of you are our guests. I want to welcome Andrew. What's your last name? Zofkoff. And he is here from, why don't you come up just a second? I'll introduce you. He is here, moved here, and just right there at the microphone. And tell us what you do.
I'm the news director for a cluster of 5 stations here in Hot Springs, KLAZ-FM, KHRK-FM, KIXV-FM, KBHS-AM, and KZHS-AM. I came here from Iowa, where I worked my first year in radio, in news, and prior to that, I attended the University of Wisconsin, where I graduated from 1 year ago this past May.
Yay. Well, we want to welcome you to our city. We're glad you moved here, and he's doing a great job on the radio, so thank you for being here. He's trying to get around to all of the important people in town. He'll probably ask some of you to come and be on his show. I was there at 6:30 this morning, and we talked about different things about the city, and I suggested that he have you on there because you know a whole lot more than I do. Okay?
About what?
Whatever. About the city details. Okay. But it was a nice time to be on the radio and have people call in, and appreciate you and what you're doing for our city, just for information. Thank you. Now we will hear our city manager's report.
Mayor, board members, members of the audience. This past weekend, as you know, we had a significant rainfall event which created a host of problems and issues around the area, but most importantly to our water supply intake up on Upper Lake Hamilton. I think it's during crises that you see the cream of the crop rise to the top, and we had examples of that which really need to be spotlighted because it illustrates the dedication and meritorious service that many of our employees provide. And so to that end, I'd like to have Deputy City Manager Bill Burrow and Utility Director Richard Penn come to the podium, give a little background on what actually happened and the significance of it, and then introduce our employees.
Thank you. Bill Burrow, Deputy City Manager. We had 5 gentlemen that really kept our city from a crisis over the past weekend. With the amount of rainfall, you can see the picture displayed on the screen. As the Corps discontinued the flow out of Blakely, we started having some of the surge coming back into our intake area of the Ouachita treatment plant where we have our water production. And these 5 gentlemen worked throughout many hours, many shifts. They were actually filling in for others. Our chief plant operators happened to be out of town at this time. One was at guard drill and one was out of town on vacation. And these gentlemen volunteered to come in and do whatever it took to keep our city out of a boil order, and I can tell you that it was touch and go pretty much for about 19 hours or more during that time. As the Corps would stop releasing, these issues would come back, and they basically fought that battle for a couple of days anyway during that high event storm. Richard, I'll let you say a few words.
Richard Penn, Utilities Director. This experience demonstrates to you the depth of knowledge and experience that our staff have, and not only is their commitment, but in water treatment there is some science, there's some engineering, and there's a lot of art involved in just knowing what things look like, what it feels like, and to be able to predict what's going to happen, which you really can't, but a little experience mixed with God's blessing and things work out really well. And these men are truly dedicated to what they do.
Thank you.
So with that, we'd like to recognize Taylor Gates. Taylor, you going to stop? Come on up. J.J. Mattingly. Come on up, J.J. Rick Hill. Cody Howe. And Jay Irwin. You guys come on up. You guys really protected us over this past weekend. We really want you to know how much we appreciate your efforts and what you did. And literally, without these 5 gentlemen, the entire city would have suffered through a boil order for several days until we had this rectified. So I appreciate your efforts. I know the citizens of this city do, as well as the board of directors and everyone else. So thank you guys very much for giving up your time to take care of it.
You know, if you have a chance to see the pictures, the problem that was created was with the amount of sedimentation in the water, the filters and the pumps were incapable of providing enough water, potable water, to our public. And it took a real Herculean effort by this group to make sure that, as Bill mentioned, that we didn't have a shortage or that the water didn't meet standards, which would have required a boil order for people wanting to use it for drinking purposes. So thank you, Bill. Job well done. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, you didn't report on the wedding you just had.
I'll do that at the next meeting.
Maybe we should know his daughter just got married this past weekend.
Yes, she did.
And he was away in Kansas City for a wedding. So we want to say congratulations to you.
Thank
have a
you.
new son-in-law.
That's right.
That's great. You need classes or something for that, I think.
Yeah.
So we're glad to have you back.
Well, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Do we have any directors have announcements concerning upcoming events in the future? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would like to invite the public to a community meeting this Thursday at 4:30 at the Forest Lakes Clubhouse with our Hot Springs Police Chief, David Flory. And that'll be 4:30 at the Forest Lakes Clubhouse Thursday afternoon, and there will be refreshments.
Thank you. Anyone else? Upcoming events? Okay. All right. The next item of business is the consideration of the consent agenda, and the items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
Okay, it's approved. The next item of business is to consider resolution number R13-125. Council, would you please read the resolution by title?
Yes, Mayor. Resolution R13-125, a resolution approving the 2013 annual street paving program. That concludes the reading. If you now entertain a motion to second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion and a second, and do we have discussion? Mr. Carnahan.
Gary Carnahan, City Engineer, thank you. We have $600,000 that you budgeted this year for us to use to pave the streets in the city. And last board meeting, you approved the contract for the purchase or for the companies to install the paving and do the coal milling. Tonight, we're asking you to approve the list of streets that we'll actually pave. And we are able to pave scattered around the city parts of 18 different streets in our primary list of paving. And so we're happy to do that. In addition to that, we're asking you to approve 11 other streets on an alternate street list. And the reason for that is that generally we hope that we have built in about a 10% or more contingency into our cost estimates, so we'll have money left over when we pave that primary list. In addition to that, this year we have a unique situation in that we will receive $300,000 approximately from the half-cent sales tax. And so
later on, we'll be visiting with you about how you want to spend that money. And we think you might want to divert some of that money to paving, and we would address then some of the streets on this alternate paving list if you decide to allocate money for more paving, to increase our paving from 600,000 up to a higher number. So unless you have any other questions, I might just mention that our some of you already know this, but paving has been tough recently because of the increased oil prices. From 2004 to 2011, our asphalt prices went from like $35 a ton to $85 a ton, which is more than doubled. So that really reduces the number of streets and the number of miles that we can pave. So, but anyway, that's where we are, and we're doing the best with the money we have available, and we appreciate the money you put in the budget this year so that we can pave these streets.
I just have one question. I know that before we talked about including some sidewalks in that.
Yes, we do have $50,000 in addition to the $600,000, and we are working on actually, when I say we're working on a list, we actually get a lot of calls and offerings of some terrible heaved sidewalks and broken sidewalks and gaps in sidewalks. And our street department is going to try to do most of that work with the street department, which means that we're going to be able to use most of the $50,000 just to pay for concrete. And we already have, the manpower built into our street budget. In some cases, we will, where it's a long section that our street department doesn't have time to really focus on, we will use a contractor to do some of that. And we're getting ready to actually start doing the smaller repair pieces that the street department can do pretty soon now. We're going to rebid our annual supply contract for concrete work for curb and sidewalk repairs in the city. And probably 2 meetings from now, we'll bring that contract to you and ask you to approve that contract separately. So, yes, ma'am.
Did you say we would receive a list of the areas on the sidewalks plan?
If you want us to, we will. Otherwise, we're just
I get a lot of requests about that, and it'd be nice to have that information at hand to respond.
Why don't you and I exchange some emails on that, and that'd be great.
And then that'd be great. Thank you. And this alternate list, if all of that is funded, then we would have close to $1 million in paving on this list of streets.
$300,000.
Yeah, excuse me. On the list of streets, what?
With including the alternate list.
Right at the bottom of that, right here.
We don't have that on here.
I may not have understood your question.
The total, then, if all of that was funded.
Oh, if all of that was funded, would be we have $1 million here, and we won't have that much funding available. So,
yeah. Oh, that was.
We have more streets on here than we probably can pave this year. But if you used all that $300,000 plus if we had an underrun of say $50,000, we could get the maximum. We could push over $900,000 worth of street paving this year if you all wanted to spend the money in that way.
Gary, you might mention that we've applied for, and we presume we'll get some of the 90%, 10% money, with the state paying 90% from that same half-cent sales tax program that was voted on by the public.
That's true. The state aid for streets is another funding source, and we have the Golf Links Road from Winans, Golf Links, Hot Springs Creek Bridge out to Malvern Road, about a $400,000 project that we hope will be funded this month by the state.
Can I applaud
So
that?
that will be. I'm nervous until I see it in hand, but I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I hope we can have a real celebration soon.
That would be great.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Questions? Okay. All right, thank you.
All right.
And we don't have anybody signed up for that one, so hearing no more discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Was he signed? Sorry. Retract. I'm sorry.
No, Mark.
Mark
Mark.
Toth. I'm sorry. I did see your name there. I didn't see the issue.
Good evening. I'm Mark Toth. I'm president of the Whittington Valley Neighborhood Association. I just want to thank you for putting two important valley roads on the paving list this year. Some of you may recall that I've mentioned these roads to you in the past, and I won't be bothering you about those two roads. They are they are often used, at least by me and many others in the valley, as well as visitors. Amber Street especially, it is an important connector between Park Avenue and Whittington Valley when there's a major event downtown and we cannot get through Central. So I wanted to thank you for that. And I would also urge you to go ahead, when appropriate, to allocate the additional $300,000 for the additional paving. Paving is an important issue to everyone here in the city, and I think if the voters see tangible improvements being made to projects around town, they have a sense that the city's moving ahead, progress is being made, and that city government is being responsive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Hearing no more discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. This is exciting. I love paved streets.
Yeah, we all do.
Okay, the next item of business is to consider resolution number R13-126. Would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R13-126, a resolution awarding a contract to Craig Brumley Construction Company for the 2013 water improvements, Phase 1. That concludes the reading, Mayor. If you now entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Mayor.
And thank you. And a second?
Second.
Okay. And discussion. Mr. Carnahan.
Thank you. This is a part of a very important program that we have to try to reduce the amount of lost water in our system that is caused because of old water pipes that are leaking. And in many cases, they're not large leaks, but just the accumulation of those all throughout the system amounts to a lot of water. So the city board has committed last year and this year, between last year and this year, over $3 million repairing leaky water mains, and we hope you'll continue to fund that program over the next 3 or 4 years to spend over $7 million repairing leaky water mains. It's a very important part of our overall water strategy and conserving water and making the most out of the water system that we have. This particular phase includes 12,000 feet of leaky water pipes, 2.5 miles. But the interesting thing is that it's scattered. It's on 13 different streets throughout the system because we use a leak detection program to identify the most strategic places that we can stop leaks by replacing water mains. So we have 13 different streets. We're adding 11 new fire hydrants to increase the coverage of our fire system. And we have to, at the same time, when we replace that main, we have to put in new taps and meters to homes. So we're actually this affects 150 water meters. So it's quite $1,063,000. It's a big program, but very important. So we hope you'll approve this contract.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? We don't have anyone signed up for that. You have directors. Do you have any questions? Okay. Thank you so much. Hearing none.
Thank you.
Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is approved. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number O1332. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. And I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01332, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5715 to hold in abeyance enforcement of the rules governing the development of land in the unincorporated portion of the city's adopted planning area, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. That concludes the reading, Mayor. If you now entertain a motion, a second to adopt and have discussion, if any, and assuming that this ordinance passes, there'll be an emergency clause that I'll read separately.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I so move.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, and staff. Ms. Selman.
Thank you, Mayor. Kathy Selman, Planning and Development Director. We have before you this evening a request to hold in abeyance the rules governing the development of land within the city's territorial jurisdiction. As we know, the legislature this year passed a law that will go into effect in midsummer, and the result of that law will be that the city no longer has jurisdiction to enforce rules governing the development of land in a large area where previously the city's authority was being implemented. The theory here is that we have people coming into City Hall asking what are the rules to do this and that regarding development projects, and we help them to understand what those rules are and what it takes to comply. In this situation, we have rules that will go away in 6 weeks or so. And so the information that we will be providing to people isn't necessarily going to affect their project, depending on what their timeline is. And to keep these rules in effect until the clock runs out on the city's planning area authority may incur expense to these projects that would not necessarily otherwise be a part of the project. So the request is for you to adopt an ordinance holding in abeyance the enforcement of those rules so that the city can, in a methodical and careful way, proceed to analyze where our new planning area boundary will be. The new authority is up to 1 mile, and something that Planning Commission and the board will want to carefully consider, unencumbered by worrying about what people may or may not have been told in this odd lame duck period. So recommendation to you is to approve the ordinance.
Okay. Do we have any questions, any discussion from Ms. Selman? There's no one signed up to speak. No? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark,
Aye.
McCabe,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Mayor, with respect to the emergency clause, it's found in Section 2 of this ordinance, not to unduly encumber property owners with the now temporary need to comply with the Hot Springs regulations, which will cease after July 16, 2013. It is hereby found and determined that an emergency exists, and this ordinance being immediately necessary for the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its passage and approval. That concludes a reading of the emergency clause. If you would entertain a motion, a second to adopt, and have discussion, if any.
Do we have a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
Mayor, I so move.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the emergency clause? Okay. Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
McCabe,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Okay. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01333. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
So move.
In a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, would you read by title only, please?
I sure will. Ordinance number 01333, an ordinance waiving the requirements of competitive bidding for the purchase of a side-mounted Tiger Bush hog mower from Moss Implement. There's too many animals there. Implement Company and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. Now entertain a motion, a second to adopt, and that discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt? Is there a second? Okay. And discussion, Mr.
Thank you, Mayor. Denny McFate, Public Works Director. Staff's recommendation is to, as the city attorney said, waiving competitive bidding for the purchase of one new Tiger brand bush hog mower from Mouse Implement Company. This is a side-mounted bush hog that will attach to a tractor that was approved off of the purchasing contract agreement program that was in the consent agenda. So staff's recommendation is to purchase this Tiger TM60C as part of that package. The city has utilized Tiger brand bush hog mowers for more than 10 years in both the street and urban forestry divisions. Other styles of bush hogs and brands have been tried over the years and been found to be of lesser quality and reliability than Tiger mowers. Tiger mowers have been found to be fair and reasonable in pricing and are dependable with excellent quality manufacturing. This aids in standardization of parts and repair knowledge for our fleet maintenance as well. The supervisors and operators of these mowers have requested not changing mower branding and to stay with the mower that has been field tested over the years and is of excellent quality and durable for their applications. The specifications have been reviewed and approved by the City Fleet Services. The physical impact, the purchase price of this mower is $23,200. The total amount budgeted for the tractor and the mower was $65,000 and is in the street department budget for 2013. So the total purchase price of the tractor and the bush hog would come to $62,752. Right at $3,000 under budget for the two.
Okay.
Any questions?
Do you have any questions for Mr. McFate? Going to get your Tiger bush hog. Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. The motion is passed. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01334. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Okay, in a second. I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
Ordinance 01334, an ordinance waiving the requirements of competitive bidding for the purchase of certain real property related to the Higdon Ferry Widening Project Phase 3. Printers Place to Crawford Avenue, AHTD job 061214, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you now entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Carnahan.
Thank you. This is the final right-of-way purchase that we need in order to relocate the utilities and build a new roadway from Printers Place to Crawford Avenue, install the new signal light, and all those improvements that we've all been looking forward to. This is one of our businesses in the city, and we were not able to, it took us some time to come to an agreed upon price back and forth, but recently that merchant submitted additional information to the Arkansas Highway Department about the impact of the right-of-way on their business operation. The Highway Department reviewed that and agreed with them in their proposal, and so we were able to then to come to this price. So this is the price that the Highway Department recommends that we accept, and I hope you'll approve this purchase. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do. Gary, is this the same gentleman that came and presented at the meeting when we talked about this the last time?
No, sir.
No, sir. We were never able to.
Okay.
Regretfully, we were never able to reach an agreement with.
Okay.
On
Thank
that
you.
one.
Should we say who this is or not?
This is Colton's Restaurant, Director.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Any other questions? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01335. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01335, an ordinance authorizing revisions to the 2013 budget, reorganizing certain city departments, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you now entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
May I so move?
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, and Mr. Burrow.
Thank you. We have several proposals coming to you tonight, and I want to say that all of these actions are autonomous from one another. The only thing they have consistent as they come to you is one board action request. We have several systems affected by this within our utilities department, the first being within our municipal customer operations, and I'll defer to Mr. Spicer for the details on that particular one, and then I'll come back with some of the other issues that we have in utilities.
Okay, thank you, Bill. This particular item, as Bill said, it is a reorganization. The key point on this end of it is the transfer of the budgets. There were two departments within the finance department. This is customer service, utility billing. Those are within a finance department. Their next section was the meter services group. That was the utility admin function. When back in 2009, when the city implemented the AMI system, automated meter infrastructure, that did change the setup. And one of the portions of that proposal was a reduction of employees. There was a reduction of 3 employees, which was what was promised, and that has been accomplished. What this reorganization will in effect do is, instead of having the various departments that are one within a general fund, one within a utility fund, it will house them all in one department, since they are so interconnected. And that's the basis of this one. The AMI is the backbone of it. Obviously, however, the customer service and utility billing is also a large portion of it, and we felt it was necessary to house them in one department. And this, as Bill said, this is a separate action, so the budget adjustment that is listed will accomplish that task.
Okay. Several other issues as we've gone through some processes within the utilities department. I'm actually happy to announce that we are moving forward with our efforts to meet our consent administrative order on SSO, our sewer system overflows. With that, we continue down a road of continued operations, and staff is now proposing to add some positions to help accomplish those efforts. Staff proposes to add 4 positions to our lift station division to enhance our preventive maintenance program and become more aggressive in meeting the CAO. The system currently has close to 3,600 pumps, and they range in various sizes, each one costing between $1,500 and $100,000, depending on the size of that particular pump. The consent administrative order specifies that measures must be taken to achieve a 0 wet weather sewer overflow by year-end 2017. Preventive maintenance is specifically identified as a necessary activity in achieving compliance with that mandate. ADEQ and EPA both recognize the benefits of repairing, refurbishing, and replacing equipment and infrastructure as part of that CAO compliance. And what this particular item of this budget amendment does, it allows us to add the staffing that's necessary to really implement a more aggressive preventive maintenance program for those 3,600 pumps, and again, an overall effort to meet the mandate of that CAO by preventive maintenance on these 3,600 pumps I just mentioned. Next, autonomous from that issue is an issue that we have at our water treatment facility, and this is both Lake Ouachita and our Upper Lake Hamilton water intake site, as well as our Lakeside water treatment site. Staff proposes to add 1 employee to that water production division. This position is needed to support full-time 24/7 operations at both plants where staffing levels are currently insufficient. With bringing our Lakeside plant up to full operations, current staffing levels does not provide enough sufficient time off between shifts. In many cases, a lot of these operators that are producing our water, they're only getting 8 hours in between those shifts. And we don't have any type of coverage during those times. So when somebody's out, as we mentioned earlier tonight with the gentlemen that were here, 5 of those employees had to come in and basically work overtime during all of those times because we don't have additional staff to cover those times when we have other employees that are off or that many off. But when you look at just the scheduling for both of those plants, 8 hours in between shifts for these gentlemen that have to monitor and produce this water, we don't feel is sufficient. So this one additional employee will actually be supporting both of those plants. And finally, we have our wastewater compost facility. Staff proposes to add 1 position to our wastewater compost division. This is actually a restoration of a position that we eliminated in 2010. This position was eliminated and the responsibilities were rolled into an urban forester position. The city has not funded the urban forester position since 2010, and the wastewater plant manager has had to assume a lot of those responsibilities. This is not optimum for the operation of the compost nor that wastewater treatment plant, as both of these facilities are integral parts of our overall wastewater system. Basically, our wastewater treatment manager is having to spend an inordinate amount of time there at the compost and is not able, you can't be in 2 places at once. And really, his primary objective is down at that wastewater treatment plant. However, just due to necessities of not having enough bodies, he's tried to be both places and really has made a valid attempt, but these are 2 different full-time jobs and one person can't do them. So that's why we bring that to you tonight. The overall impact to this is about $138,000 for everything that we've mentioned, which as we look at some of the costs that I've just mentioned, most of these costs come from the additional employees for our consent administrative order. And as we look at the cost of some of these pumps, we believe that by making these changes, we'll be able to actually save that amount of money in the number of pumps that we'll be able to save prior to those pumps not being able to be rehabilitated due to just burning out. So that is what staff proposes, and we'll be glad to answer any questions. And again, each one of these are autonomous. The only thing that they have consistent with one another is bringing them to you all at once instead of piecemealing them, trying to bring these issues to you in different meetings. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
But what we have before us tonight for the impact to the current year budget is not but a few $1,000s.
Thank you very much. We are making these changes from a budgetary standpoint back through January the 1st. However, the impact for this year will be about half that because most of these changes will take effect around July 1.
And the area and wastewater fund where we have the majority of the increased budget request is due to our administrative consent order. Is that?
That is correct.
Correct.
That is correct.
And then I had a question on the customer service area. I believe in our 2013 budget we had included a dedicated person for data mining for AMI. Is that person included in this department?
That particular employee is actually housed in the information systems department. They are, Bill, I don't know the exact budgetary amount. There's a portion of them that is paid out of a utility admin for that function. However, they're split between information services and utility admin for that function.
That is correct. Well, one of the transitions, as we have transitioned some of these employees' positions, we have a full-time person in that reports to our IS director, basically. However, his primary responsibilities are City Works and AMI. So the answer to that is yes. However, they're not housed in the utilities department. They're funded out of utilities. However, because that is such software driven, they're housed with the management oversight of Jeff Winter, our IS director.
Thank you.
Do we have any other? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you to the staff that has tried to do two jobs at one time. I mean, I know the staff has really tried hard to operate within the budget that has been given them, and I just want to express my appreciation, but also realize that you really cannot have something as important as our wastewater system relegated to part-time efforts. So
that is correct. I appreciate those comments.
And I am to understand that everyone will still have a job.
What we have opportunities for everyone to apply for positions that we'll have open. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
To reiterate that, these jobs will be posted, and anyone can apply then.
That is correct. We will follow our current city's policies, and directors, we hire the most qualified person for whatever position may be open at that time. And what we may see is some internal movements throughout that utilities department based on the qualifications that those applicants may have. However, as we go through some of those changes, at some point we will be getting to basically an entry-level position that should they not have the qualifications that they need, they'll be in an area where we could provide some on-the-job training to get them there. So if that answers your question, yes.
It does. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Discussion? Okay. Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Well, I guess that was the last one. We will now have, that concludes the business section for tonight. And now, are there any comments that the board members would like to make? Yes, sir, Mr. Foley.
Go ahead.
You were first.
I would like to just take this opportunity. When we had the list of potential road pavings that we all had an opportunity to look at, we had the opportunity to drive throughout the district and find, number one, take a look at those, but also have the opportunity to identify potholes and water leaks, and the weather was just right for all of it. And so I want to say thanks to Bill Burrow, Gary Carnahan, Richard Pennington, and Danny McFate, Street Department. I had a list of about 50 different projects, and I want to say that they got all of them finished within 10 days, except about 6 or 7 that require hot mix patchwork rather than the cold mix. So our city staff is really doing a great job. And beside that, I was impressed for the size of the district and how up-to-date we were in keeping the streets in good shape. So, I mean, I know with this heavy rainfall there are going to be new potholes throughout the community, but I know that our street staff is really working hard to take care of them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I do notice a lot of potholes on streets that are not ours. There are those state streets that go right down the middle of our city, and we need some of those fixed. I don't know how we get potholes filled from the state, but those weren't our potholes on Malvern. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Bill Burrs and Denny. I had a problem in my district, and he called me telling me what was what, and then when he called me back, he was at the site just that quick, you know. And the person that made the complaint, I hope he's watching tonight so we can get the rest of it done. Thank you so much. And Denny, thank you. I think he's gone.
He was
Thank
tired.
him for me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I had some thank yous from some residents that I wanted to pass along. First, from the residents of the Columbia Hills area, wanted to thank Mr. Carnahan. We had a situation there in the street repair needed, and he remained dedicated to find a solution to that. And Bill And Denny McFade also made sure we had the resources, and the street department did a great job, and the residents there are very appreciative and thankful. And also, late this afternoon, I received a report from Steve Quast about a potentially very serious safety issue on Moat Street, where a tree was looked like it was just about to fall over on the street, and where it was at the bottom of the hill there, it would be difficult to see if it did fall with somebody coming in. And this was reported at before 3:30 today, and before 4:30 the tree was gone. Amen. So I wanted to thank Denny McFade and our street department and their dedication to safety for our citizens and quick response. Thanks to all of our city staff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job. Thank you. Mr. McCabe.
Yeah, on Memorial Day, we had two functions at the Transportation Depot. One started quite early in the morning, I guess somewhere around 7:30, the state championship duathlon due in the park, and that went off without a hitch, well attended, a lot of enthusiasm. Want to pay special thanks to the Park and Rec Department, the City of Hot Springs, but also to the Hot Springs Police Department, because we had to cut through a number of what would otherwise be very busy roads, Grand Avenue, and then getting out on Spring Street, and Spring Street was well patrolled. The intersections at Spring and Grand, and Convention and Grand, and Malvern and Convention were all well staffed by police, so that the cyclists could get through quite easily. We were able to run down the Greenway and go over the new bridge that was there, and that was again a good course. And not only that, though, at the end of that event, a lot of the participants helped the committee pick up the barricades and that, so that at 11 o'clock, or actually we tried to be out by 10, that the memorial celebration at Veterans Memorial was going to take place at 11. And so there was an agreement that it would all be broken down by 10, and I was kind of helping and also monitoring that, and it went off without a hitch, and so we had two excellent functions pretty much in the same location. The Veterans Memorial was well attended. They had a very good program. Congressman Tom Cotton spoke, and he was very well received, and it was good to see two different groups work together to achieve their individual ends, but also an end that benefited the entire community. So thanks to both of those groups for a day well done.
Thank you. Yes, very nice day. Anybody else? Okay. Immediately following tonight's adjournment, tonight's business meeting, there will be a public commentary here in the board chambers. And for those of you who will be leaving after the adjournment, please do so quietly. And those of you who want to stay and listen to the public commentary, we invite you to stay just a few more minutes. Do we have anybody signed up?
We do
no,
not.
Forget that one. We don't have public commentary. Okay. You move that we adjourn. Do I have a second that we adjourn? Okay. All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.